Welcome to Ken Stories. Hope you enjoy listening to the story netizens nicknamed Me, the Crybaby, the hottest virtual reality show right now. What is playing a criminal imitating a murderer? Sorry, I just acted weak and pitiful, trembling in fear in the arms of a big shot boyfriend in Beijing. As a result, the entire social network unanimously gave me the title of useless vase, but then the final episode aired. The murderer still had not been revealed, the show was at a standstill, and at that moment a hidden camera in the corner of the room suddenly played a video clip of me leisurely transforming into a murderer with neat movements and a devilish smile. Netizens all over the internet turned pale. This is a reality show. Why do I feel like I'm watching a real crime scene recorded by CCTV? Quickly call the police, quickly arrest her. This movement is so skillful that I think it's a side job. Don't wait for me to change my pants before continuing. And so I went from a crybaby to a goddess of beauty in a flash. I am the country's top criminologist whose hobby is researching the most perverted cases in history, but God really knows how to tease people. After I solved the country's most horrific murder case, I thought I would be celebrating grandly, but unexpectedly I was fatally shot by my colleague. The reason simply because I accidentally discovered that he was the biological father of the murderer. Before I died, I only had time to see my teammates rushing over in panic, and then the whole world faded away. When I opened my eyes again, I was no longer a famous criminologist, but an 18th-tier female star with the title of National Green Tea that was hated by the entire social network. Well, it was time to settle down and live when my manager, Ms. Truong, came looking for me. I was lying on the sofa leisurely playing games with my online boyfriend of 3 months. In the game, I hid in the bushes and took a headshot of the enemy. His sweet mouth called for his boyfriend to come save me, my love, I'm about to die, come here quickly. Miss Truong pushed the door open and entered. I immediately turned off the game and sat up straight, pretending to be obedient. Miss Truong, you're here. In my previous life, because I was a criminologist, although I had an innocent and pretty face, no one dared to pursue me. Even when I had just set my eyes on a male colleague in the office before I could express it the next day, he brought his weak boyfriend to stammer, saying, I have a boyfriend, please don't bother me. Then he was scared and lost me. I was so heartbroken that I dragged my best friend to the bar and screamed helplessly. I just wanted a man to sleep with. Why was it so difficult? Who would have thought that as soon as I got home, I saw my colleague posting a photo of him kissing his boyfriend online? Great, he has a boyfriend, and I don't. Who said that the whole city was filled with my achievements, that not only men, but even murderers would scream and run away when they saw me. So after I crossed over, I quickly found a boyfriend with 8-pack abs online, so that I wouldn't scare my boyfriend away, and I maintained the image of green tea, pretending to be gentle and weak, making him blush. This time, I definitely can't reveal the show Perfect Crime Season 3 that is about to air. The guest voted by netizens was very unlucky that I was chosen. Miss Truong's eyes looked at me with a bit of sympathy and worry, even though it was the hottest game show right now. But Ms. Truong didn't feel that this was a good thing, because the original owner was hated to the point that even drinking water would make her blacken, the host let alone participating in a simulated crime show. I know you're a coward and don't want to participate in that entertainment show, but the company has already signed a contract. If you violate it, you'll have to pay a huge compensation, so you have to participate. I opened my phone to look up information about the show and found out that it was a virtual reality crime show. I laughed in response to her. Sister Truong sighed. The guests participating this time include the movie king Liu Mingzhou and the young rising actress Su Ji. Is that okay? Liu Mingzhou was the original owner's ex-boyfriend. When I crossed over, it was the day he and Su Ji publicly announced their relationship. The original owner cut her wrists and committed suicide. In the remaining memories, the original owner loved him to death, and even though he broke up with her, she still couldn't let go and insisted on clinging to him. Even in order to win back Liu Mingzhou's affection, she acted like a green tea girl in the film crew, pretending to be scared and hiding in Liu Mingzhou's arms, sobbing. The result was, of course, that all her actions were posted online, and in the end she was ridiculed by the entire online community as a crybaby because she wanted to see the scene where the original owner was humiliated, so netizens voted for me to join the show with the other two. "No problem," I replied. I texted my boyfriend that I had to go on a business trip and then looked up at Sister Zhang. Don't worry, and it was professional that the person who was scared could not be me. Early the next morning, I went to the filming location according to the address Ms. Truong gave me. This place was a villa on the beach. As soon as I got out of the car, I entered the live stream area. Zhang Ran really came. Someone like her also participated in the program. Sin Pham, if she didn't participate, how could she have the opportunity to help the handsome guy cry and laugh to death? I had prepared a whole new virtual keyboard. Now I'm just waiting to see her embarrassed. The other guests also entered the hall one by one. There were 2 men and 3 women. The male guests included the movie emperor Liu Mingzhou, the young actor Ding Liu, and Liao Bai. The female guests included the young actress Suji, the hot girl with millions of fans online, Zhao Jimin, and me, the 18th tier star, who was hated by the entire internet. The guests introduced each other and then sat down to wait for the director to come and give out the mission and the identity of each person based on the previous seasons. Among the guests, one person will receive the identity card of a murderer. His mission is to carry out a perfect murder in the program. The remaining guests will have to find clues to catch the criminal hiding in the group. If they cannot find the murderer, they will win. On the contrary, if they deduce correctly, the murderer will be eliminated. The winning guest. I sat on the sofa and suddenly met the contemptuous gaze of the movie emperor Liu Mingzhou. I was stunned for a moment and could not remember who he was. Suji, who was sitting next to me, saw this, and his eyes immediately turned red. "Zhang Ran, can you stop wearing your shoes? Right in front of me. You are still blatantly staring at Liu Mingzhou. Don't you think you are too bitter?" As soon as the words ended, everyone around fell silent and only looked at me, but their eyes carried judgment. Suji was so angry that her body trembled as if I had seduced her lover. Liu Mingzhou saw that she was about to cry and quickly stood up, hugged her, and comforted her, looking at me with eyes full of hatred. "It's okay, I won't be taken away by her. I'm yours forever." Only then did Suji control his emotions. Live comment, "Why didn't I see anything just now? Zhang Ran was staring at Liu Mingzhou again. She was too much." Suji almost cried. Whispering just now, I saw Zhang Ran only glance at Liu Mingzhou. Didn't do anything. Was Suji a little too agitated? It's nothing if she really didn't do anything. Suji wouldn't be so angry. She would definitely use the look of wanting to say something, but stopping to look at Liu Mingzhou. I silently picked up the fruit knife beside me and remembered a move I learned from my senior in my major. In addition to learning about criminal psychology and analysing murder cases, I also learned about anthropology. The move my senior taught me was called 36 consecutive cuts. Each slash aimed at the most painful spots on the human body, but only caused light injuries to the opponent, very suitable for treating psychopaths. I don't deny that I have a tendency to be a bit violent because I studied it, but it was very satisfying. I was about to stand up when the last guest slowly walked in. I silently put the knife back on the fruit plate. Seeing me, his eyes were not surprised, but revealed a bit of joy and embarrassment. Perhaps remembering something, his earlobes turned red. All the guests had arrived. The program crew briefly explained the rules of the game and let us lie down in the virtual reality capsule. Before entering the capsule, I glanced at Tang Kwa on the opposite side. What a coincidence! The door of the compartment closed immediately after that we appeared on an old bus besides us. In the car there was also a middle-aged driver and a man with a beer belly. The car drove to the middle of the mountain, then suddenly stopped. The driver, wearing a raincoat, holding an iron hammer, got out of the car. Not long after, outside the car, his voice rang out, "Who gets out and helps me?" We looked at each other and no one dared to get out of the car. Liu Mingzhou hugged Suji's shoulder. "Don't be afraid, I have you. Everyone knows the plot has opened. It has begun. It has begun. Who will be the first to die? This is probably the driver in the end, who is the murderer." After a long while, everyone decided to get out of the car to check when I was about to get out. Suji called me back. "Teacher Jiang, you should still stay in the car. We won't have time to worry about you later." My eyes stopped on the beer-bellied man and then lowered my eyes again. After the others got off the bus, he glanced at my waist and thighs, suddenly stood up and approached to talk. The beauty looked like my first love. I looked at the news about a prisoner escaping from prison that was playing on the screen in the bus, then looked at a corner of the disposable glove that was exposed from his pocket. I chuckled. The murder game began then. The screen was showing the news about a rapist escaping from prison. He had a hobby of forcing his victims to wear red dresses before committing the act. After he finished, he injected a drug to dilute the body fluids in the victim. In the end, he was arrested and sentenced to life in prison. But just a few days ago, he escaped through the sewer. Right, I pretended to be afraid and stepped back. Deep in his eyes, the interest grew stronger, as if he was very satisfied with my reaction at the moment. Luckily, Qin Kwa turned back. He frowned and looked at the fat man. He quietly told me not to be alone with him. I obediently nodded. It seemed that the teasing words had become a habit recently. I stood on tiptoe and whispered in his ear, "I just want to be alone with you." Qin Kwa blushed. Everyone's attention was outside the car. No one paid attention to this side. The car could not be repaired. Everyone was forced to sleep in the car for the night. Early the next morning, the driver assigned us to find something to pave the road after the heavy rain. The dirt road on the mountain became even more muddy. The wheels were stuck and could not move. I and Suji were originally responsible for finding dry grass to pave around the wheels to increase friction. But after a while, she left me to go find Liu Mingzhou. I had no choice but to go into the mountain alone behind me. The voice of the beer-bellied man rang out, "Why are you going alone, beautiful woman? There might be wild animals on the mountain. This place is remote and dangerous. Come with me." I looked at him, nodding. "Okay." I raised my head to look at Suji, not far away, but only saw her avoiding my gaze, and then hurriedly left. The beer-bellied man led me to an abandoned house on the mountain. "Inside there should be wooden planks. Let's go see." I looked hesitant, as if it was not good. He hurriedly said, "What's wrong? You don't want to go down the mountain?" "Of course not. I just want to kill people because my character card is a murderer." When I turned around and walked to the abandoned wooden house with the beer-bellied man, a storm of comments exploded. "Does Jiang Ran have to be so stupid? You can tell that man has no good intentions. What should we do now? Let's call the police. What kind of newspaper is this? You women always like to pretend to have followed that guy. Isn't that volunteering? Moreover, this is virtual reality. What the hell is calling the police?" The door of the abandoned house was kicked open by Qin Kwa. I was holding a few wooden boards and preparing to leave. When I saw Tang Kwa, I was a little surprised why everyone came here. Tang Kwa didn't say anything, but looked around first, confirming that I was safe. He breathed a sigh of relief. Liu Mingzhou angrily said, "Chi-Chi led us to find you. How could you just casually go with that guy here? Don't you have any self-respect? You should thank Chi-Chi. She was kind enough to ignore you when something happened and insisted on us coming to save you." I indifferently glanced at Suji. Her face was pale. "It's been 2 hours since I killed everyone. You guys came here. What kindness." Liu Mingzhou said after that. He also looked around. "That fat guy," I raised my hand and pointed to the old door behind him. "He went out to find hay and told me to wait here." Suji's face suddenly looked better. "Why did the two of you take so long?" I laughed and said I didn't know he was gone and didn't come back. The other people's faces immediately became serious, because at this moment the crime simulation system's screen gave a warning signal. "Let's go find him." After speaking, everyone left one by one. Tang Kwa quietly walked behind and pulled my hand. "Are you okay?" I shook my head. "But that fat man, maybe they won't find me." I turned my head to look at the rafters. His limbs were hanging down. In midair, he was right above Liu Mingzhou's head, but no one noticed. I smiled brightly. The camera only filmed my face, not the fat man hanging from the rafters in a red dress. I can't help but say that this crime simulation program is quite interesting. Compared to the cases in books or real cases, I like the feeling of personally experiencing this more than I do. I even secretly wondered if I should carry out a perfect body disposal next time. Disposing of the body was a rather elementary method of disposal, but it was the method that left the most clues and traces. The whole group searched everywhere but still couldn't find the fat guy. Luckily, I found a wooden plank to help the bus escape from the mud. The bus followed the winding mountain road and finally arrived at a remote town. At 4:30 p.m, the town had a small inn and restaurant on the ground floor. A restaurant on the upper floor had rooms for guests to stay. As soon as we entered, the owner was dressed simply and warmly. We kept complimenting everyone's appearance and everyone relaxed. I looked down at the shoes she was wearing. My memory was very good. When we first entered, the shoes on the driver's feet were exactly the same as these shoes. Then the car got stuck. He changed into black boots, put on a raincoat, and then got out of the car, but those shoes now appeared on the innkeeper's feet. Everyone ordered and sat down. I watched the owner bring food from the back of the house, laughing and saying that she was the only one doing all the work. "Why is it so hard?" She reflexively glanced at the driver, quickly looked away, and smiled awkwardly, applying, "That's right, my husband works on construction projects and is away almost all year round." After saying that, she looked sad. Suji frowned and blamed teacher Jiang. "You should pay attention to what you say." The hostess quickly waved her hand. It's okay, you guys, just eat. I'll go to the kitchen and continue stir-frying vegetables." I ignored Suji, just stood up and raised my voice to ask the hostess, "Where is the restroom?" The driver stood up reflexively and quickly sat down. The hostess pointed in a direction. I went upstairs and knocked on each room's door. Clearly none of them had anyone in them. Continuing to go to the rooftop, I discovered the truth in the stainless steel water tank. No wonder my mission was to kill 3 people, but at that time there were only 2 people in the car after dinner. We returned to our rooms to rest in the middle of the night. I stood up and went out that night. Everyone received a text message from the crime simulation program team. When the light screen appeared, everyone immediately jumped up and ran to the hallway. After confirming that all the guests were present, they frowned. "Where is the driver?" Everyone looked at each other and decided to go find the driver. They even knocked on the hostess's door. This inn is not big. The landlady lives on the first floor, but no one responds. The inn uses a smart lock once closed. It can only be opened with a room card, but we only keep our room card. The cards of the other rooms are with the landlady. Qinhua was the first to hold a chair and break the door and rush inside. The landlady was lying on the ground with no signs of life. Qinhua searched for a while and found all the main and spare room cards in the safe. The landlady's room card was on the bedside table. While searching, everyone got the driver's room card, but when the door was opened, the inside was empty and there was no sign of her. The driver could not only find clues on the landlady, everyone returned to the first floor and looked at the landlady's body lying on the ground. Qinhua told me and the other 2 girls to check if there were any wounds on her body. After a while of checking, the other 2 shook their heads. They even used the fingerprint scanner. The result was only a bunch of messy fingerprints, but none of our fingerprints were there. A storm of comments. Strange. This crime simulation is very strange. The fat guy disappeared without a trace. Now the driver is also nowhere to be found. Why is the murdered landlady not injured? That's right. At least last season, no one mysteriously disappeared like this. The landlady's room card was still in the room. So how did the murderer get in? Everything was shrouded in mist. Chin-Kwa sat in a corner, his brows furrowed. He was sure the driver was still in this inn, but even though they searched everywhere, everyone still couldn't find him. They could only go back to rest first. When I went out, I glanced at the lock on the landlady's room door. My eyes narrowed. Then I pretended to be scared and jumped into Chin-Kwa's arms. "Brother, I'm scared," quietly stuffing things into his bag. The third day had come, the atmosphere became more tense than ever. If they still can't find the criminal today, they will lose. Of course, baseless speculation will also lose. One person starts using the method of elimination. Finally, the other two people unanimously believe that Liu Mingzhou is the criminal. Suji heard this and became anxious. How could it be that she went to Liu Mingzhou's room last night to ask her something she knew clearly, that he was not a criminal? Suji's eyes stopped on Chin-Kwa. He was sure it was him. Chin-Kwa smiled faintly. Where is the evidence? Suji was silent. Such a perfect crime. Where did she get the evidence and clues she wasn't? Liu Mingzhou wasn't plus Chin-Kwa's calm attitude yesterday. She unconsciously felt that the other two brothers looked at each other and agreed. I spoke up. "Stop guessing, it's me." Liu Mingzhou looked at me with a complicated gaze. Jiang Ran wanted to be on air but couldn't do that. Chi-Chi was seriously deducing who the murderer was. Because she angered me, she was with Chin-Kwa so quickly, so that's fine. Now she still wants to take on the title of a criminal for him. His words hinted at me to be more content. I shrugged and said, but no one believed me until the time was almost up. Everyone voted for Chin-Kwa and I voted for myself. It's a pity that Chin-Kwa's votes were higher than mine, so we were taken back to the simulation cabin. When I woke up, the show had prepared seats. The MC announced that the guests had failed. So, in the end, the murderer, who is the mysterious smile of the program crew tomorrow. At this time, not meeting, not coming back, everyone's curiosity was aroused, but also no, this is the style of the station, so can only go home. Of course, netizens do not accept. Why not announce it now? That's right, half talk. It's really hateful. The real culprit is Chin-Kwa. Why, I don't think it's very likely. To be honest, I watched the whole episode but couldn't find any clues. The difficulty of this season is really high. After returning, I received a message from the program crew that tomorrow they will announce my identity. After the program ended, I received a check. I asked Ms. Trong to donate to the orphanage where the original owner grew up. For many years, she often came here. Most of the original owner's savings were poured into the orphanage. I drove myself to Chin-Kwa's house in the phone, was the address he just sent. I knocked on the door, brother is home, but the door opened. He held my hand tightly, his eyes were glued to my lips, the red earlobes were about to bleed, going to participate in a game show with my ex and telling him that I was on a business trip. I suddenly remembered that I had told Tang Kwa that I was on a business trip because Ms. Trong did not allow me to reveal anything. At that time, I was only thinking about recreating the cases I had participated in on the show, except that I was a case solver before, and now I was a murderer. I was afraid that my boyfriend would run away, so I didn't tell him Tang Kwa is 1 year older than me, but compared to my old identity as a Chu family criminologist, he is 3 months younger. I unconsciously coaxed him that it was over, and that my brother now only has you in his heart. If you don't believe me, touched Tang Kwa's face, it suddenly turned red, and the look of resentment and anger disappeared. After sitting down on the sofa in the living room, he turned on the TV for me and was about to stand up to pour me some water. Of course, I couldn't let a sick person take care of me, so I took the initiative to go to the kitchen to pour me some water. But when I turned around, I saw the screen showing a hidden camera clip of the program that had just been released today. There were a lot of comments. This is a real life scene. Why do I feel like I'm watching a CCTV recording of a real crime scene? Quickly call the police. Quickly arrest her. This move is so skillful that I think it's a side job. Don't wait for me to change my pants before continuing. I was so panicked that I staggered and fell into Tanquoi's arms, my forehead hitting his chin. I took a deep breath and absolutely couldn't let him watch this part. What if he got scared and ran away? So I covered his ears and stood up to block his view. I remember this part was about 15 minutes long. I knelt on Tanquoi's lap. As soon as he raised his head, he could see the curve of my chest. He wanted to get up. Nyim Nyim, stop messing around. I hugged him and kissed his struggling hand, immediately loosening it. After 10 minutes, my lips were slightly swollen. This kid was like a wolf cub, tasting meat for the first time. His eyes were shining. He pulled me down to kiss him again. I was kissed until my whole body was limp. My mind was in a state of confusion. Next to my ear was his extremely hot breath. He whispered into my ear, "Do you want to know what my fever is today?" I raised my head and still remembered the first time I coaxed him to come and take a bath together when I called him on video. His ears were red with embarrassment. His eyes were red, and now his mouth and legs were already this soft. I wanted to be a relatively real person. I let go of Chinqua's eyes. He came and stood up, carried me like a bear, and walked straight into his room. I had only walked a few steps when my eyes were red as if I wanted to cry. It was so hot, Chinqua kissed me on the lips. His voice was hoarse, but I buried myself in the soft silk blanket. My fingertips scratched his broad white back, leaving long marks. I had completely become a cripple in Chinqua's house for several days. When Sister Zhang called, I looked at the man who was only wearing a pair of white basketball shorts and a light-coloured apron cooking in the kitchen and swallowed my saliva. Didn't his fever go down? Could it be that he's still fine, just wearing an apron and not wearing a shirt like that? I didn't hear my reply. Sister Zhang spoke again. "Zhang Ran, can you hear me?" I came back to my senses. I heard that Ms. Trong called this time because the video in the program had made netizens crazy. The police chief at the police station also noticed the video, so he contacted Ms. Trong, wanting me to come and file a profile. I hung up the phone, changed my clothes, and prepared to go to the police station alone. Tanqua asked me where I was going. I put on my sandals, stood up, and hugged him, avoiding Ms. Trong's eyes. He talked about work. Tanqua nodded and placed a kiss on my forehead, his voice low. When I arrived at the police station, I saw more than a dozen policemen in neat uniforms observing me. After I finished writing the profile, I filled in my personal information and a person's home address and took out several documents. "Comrade Kwong Yim, would you mind seeing this?" I glanced at the documents and frowned slightly. The perpetrator, disguised as a fisherman, stood dozens of meters away from the victim, using a fishing rod to swing a heavy iron block at the victim who was exercising, so there was an alibi. The policeman next to me slapped his thigh. "That's right. When the victim died nearby, there was a group of people fishing. We thought it was simply throwing something from a distance, but couldn't find the murder weapon." After looking at a few more case files, I left. Later, the photo of me standing in front of the police station was posted online by paparazzi. Going to file a file. That's scary. Of course I had to go. Oh, Sister Zhang Ran, the entertainment industry has completed a crime scene. That night I went to the hot search Zhang Ran to file a file at the police station. After all, has Zhang Ran ever killed anyone? Sister Zhang was overjoyed. This was the first time I went to the hot search without being cursed. Not long after, the video of the conflict between the original owner and Suji surfaced. In the video, the original owner watched Suji and Liu Mingzhou hugging and kissing in the corner of the wall, her eyes red with hurt, but unable to cry out. The photo that made the original owner hated by the entire online community, the photo of her falling into Liu Mingzhou's arms, was also fake. In the video, she was the original owner who couldn't stand and fell into Liu Mingzhou's arms. Right after that, Liu Mingzhou pushed the original owner into the river on the set. The last part of the video was a photo of Liu Mingzhou sneaking into a hotel with Suji before breaking up with the original owner. Netizens were shocked and wondered why he broke up with Jiang Ran so quickly before, but it turned out he already had a replacement. Suji even cried and accused Jiang Ran of interfering in the relationship between her and Liu Mingzhou. She was the third person, but in the virtual reality crime prevention program, didn't Suji see Jiang Ran with the fat guy? Then she went around the mountain to find Qin Chua and the others. Could it be that she wanted Liu Mingzhou to see Jiang Ran being humiliated? It's so disgusting. When Suji intervened between Jiang Ran and Liu Mingzhou, didn't he know that they were a couple? I remember both of them grew up in the same orphanage. It's really disgusting. Suji has always bragged about being the main wife who brought down Jiang Ran. Anyone who didn't know would think Jiang Ran was clinging to Liu Mingzhou. Do you think everyone likes that kind of man? I really didn't expect them to be that kind of person. After I turned off my phone, I suddenly received an anonymous message. Teacher Jiang, I've already uploaded the video. Can you... Don't kill me, ha. I questioned it. It's true that the original owner once asked a staff member on set to get the video, but she refused, resulting in her not being able to get evidence to refute Liu Mingzhou and Suji. Liu Mingzhou and Suji quickly collapsed not long after the company was also frozen. Liu Mingzhou contacted me, but I blocked him and deleted his number. He even went to the apartment to say that he regretted it. The original owner died, so what did he regret? If you apologize, you have to tell the original owner, so I suggested that he go die. He was scared and ran away. I questioned him. A few days later, the local police announced that the cases I had analyzed were all guessed correctly by me. From then on, I suddenly became a regular customer of the police department. Netizens competed to tease people in the entertainment industry, but my heart was at the crime scene. Half a year passed, and at night I pretended to be weak in Qin Kua's arms. During the day, I went to the police department to see the body to solve Qin Kua's case, and during the day I went to the company, and at night I came back to hug and roll around with me. Youth was truly full of life until we got married. Qin Kua took me to an ancient town to visit his grandmother. Early in the morning, I wore a light yellow dress with long straight hair hanging down my back, wearing white Mary Jane shoes, looking extremely gentle. The old lady's eyes lit up as soon as she saw me. She lived in an ancient house in town, a family house with blue bricks and grey tiles. As soon as I entered, Tang Kua was pulled out by his grandmother. I sat alone in his room, leisurely swinging my legs. At that moment, a mouse jumped down from the beam and stood proudly on the table looking at me. I laughed coldly and conveniently picked up Tang Kua's old shoe on the cabinet and hit it straight on. With just one blow, the mouse, which was already proud, immediately straightened its legs. I was about to say something when I saw Tang Kua and his grandmother standing right at the door. The eyes of the two adults seemed to see the majestic scene. I wore a dress, one leg on the chair, and hit the mouse. I quickly threw the old shoe in my hand and cried, jumping into Tang Kua's arms, "Honey, I'm so scared." Qin Kua froze for a moment, seeing me crawl into his arms. He reacted and immediately hugged my waist, forgetting everything that had happened earlier. Even my grandmother stood beside me to comfort me. There were a lot of rats in her town. Before, the grandson of the Wang family behind our house had just had his nose bitten off by a rat. Hearing that, I pretended to be scared and shrank even more. Qin Kua hurriedly took me to the grocery store to buy rat traps and rat poison. When I returned, he told me to sit outside the door and not to be afraid that my husband would kill them all right away. After he finished speaking, he went inside. I sat outside the door and looked at Qin Kua's tall figure bending down and tisk tisk. His butt was so curved. Chinqua turned his head back. He had just finished killing a rat. My eyes sparkled. I pulled his hand. He looked so good I saw that he seemed pleased. I secretly admired how easy it was to coax men. Although he didn't show anything on his face, but from what I knew of him, if he had a tail behind him, it would probably be sticking up in the air, and we returned home. My phone and Tanquoi's phone rang at the same time. I took his phone and went to the bathroom for a while. I also took her phone back to the dressing room, closed the door. I opened my cell phone. It was an invitation from the criminal police department in my previous life because of my identity as a criminologist. Although I looked innocent, no one dared to pursue me. When I went out, Tanqua told me that the company had a contract to sign that night and couldn't be with me. I hugged him and sighed in relief, happily watching him get in the car. Then I went back to the dressing room to change into that dark black female V-suit after holding the trophy and walking down the stage. I saw a man in uniform sitting in the front row. He lowered his eyes and didn't look at me, feeling a bit familiar. I walked past him, and he unconsciously raised his head. Then we both silently turned around and left. When we got home, Tanqua pressed me down on the bed. "Wife, you work a lot, right?" I forced a smile. "I don't work much either. So in the program, you know that the culprit is me." Tanqua nodded and kissed me on the lips, knowing it was complete. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to hear more great stories from Ken Stories.